How far can someone go to become their idol? This is not a video about beauty, confidence, or self-improvement. This is an X-ray of excess, a descent into obsession, where admiration slowly mutates into self-erasure. In this top 10, you will witness real men and women who crossed the invisible line, submitting their bodies to extreme transformations to imitate famous faces. Disturbing results, irreversible consequences, and one haunting question remain. When devotion ends, what happens to identity? Justin Jedlica did not idolize a celebrity. His reference was an object. Ken, the plastic companion to Barbie, designed without age, weakness, or history. A body perfected by manufacture, not biology. For Justin, that artificial certainty became the goal. From the beginning, this was not about looking better, not about confidence, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming something permanent, controlled, and unreal. He began at 18. Surgery followed surgery, not as correction, but as construction. Implants reshaped chest, arms, abdomen, shoulders. Facial procedures refined angles that nature had never intended to exaggerate. More than 90 interventions accumulated, each one treated as progress rather than excess. His body stopped being flesh and became a blueprint. Justin spoke of himself as both artist and artwork. Pain was acceptable. Risk was calculated. Limits were inconvenient. The mirror no longer asked who he was, only whether the structure was complete. Media attention arrived quickly. The human Ken doll became a label that both framed and fueled the project. Cameras treated him as curiosity, warning, spectacle. Justin accepted all of it. Visibility was not a side effect. It was part of the design. Supported by resources that removed restraint, the transformation continued. Not toward humanity, but away from it. Justin Jedlica did not vanish. He solidified, standing as a living object, inviting the world to decide whether control is freedom alone. Pixee Fox did not chase admiration. She chased distortion. Her reference points were not women shaped by biology, but animated figures engineered without limits. Jessica Rabbit, Aurora, characters that never had to negotiate gravity or consequence, became the measurements she trusted. From the beginning, this was not about looking better, not about refinement, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming a body that could not exist without intervention. Her transformation escalated quickly. Breast implants, facial procedures, constant adjustments, all moving toward exaggeration rather than harmony. Then came the decision that fixed her story in public memory. Multiple ribs were surgically removed, not for correction, but for space. Space for a waist that could collapse inward, defying anatomy. The body became a construction site where pain was temporary and proportion was optional. Corsets tightened the result. Photographs displayed the silhouette. The audience responded. Shock blended with fascination, and attention replaced hesitation. Pixee spoke of freedom, of choice, of control. Her body, she said, was hers to redesign. Yet the structure she built required maintenance, restriction, vigilance. The freedom depended on discipline. What appeared on screen was a living illustration. What stayed off screen was the cost of sustaining it. Pixee Fox did not disappear. She stabilized inside an extreme form, suspended between self-expression and self-erasure, leaving the observer to decide where one ends and the other begins silently. Rodrigo Alves did not want to look handsome. Handsome was ordinary. What he wanted was perfection without age, without error, without history. His model was not a celebrity, but a product. Ken, smooth and permanent, untouched by time or consequence. From the beginning, This was not about looking better, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming artificial. His body became a project with no final version. Surgery followed surgery: nose, jaw, cheeks, chest, abdomen, arms. More than 70 procedures accumulated, each one correcting the previous correction. The mirror never closed the case. It only revealed the next flaw. The nose carried the cost. Repeated rhinoplasties weakened tissue until doctors warned of collapse, of infection, of skin dying slowly. Stopping was suggested. Completion was not. Television turned him into spectacle. Interviews, reality shows, headlines. The human Ken doll was no longer a nickname, it was an identity. Rodrigo accepted it, spoke of control, of choice, of design. Pain became currency, risk became routine. But the body resisted the fantasy. Each intervention demanded another, each fix created new damage. Perfection remained distant, receding with every attempt to reach it. Rodrigo Alves did not disappear. He became a symbol, a body endlessly revised, suspended between survival and image, leaving the question unresolved, where admiration fades, judgment hesitates, and the viewer is left only to observe in silence without answers offered. Jordan James Park did not follow Kim Kardashian because of talent, music, or performance. What captivated him was a face repeated until it became an empire. Kim Kardashian was not a person to Jordan, but a brand, an image refined through exposure and control until it no longer required explanation. From the start, this was not about looking better, not about enhancement, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming visibility itself. Jordan claimed the role openly. He called himself Kim's double, not as a joke, but as an identity. His body became a project driven by impact. The lips came first, injected again and again, more than 100 times by his own account, until tension replaced softness and exaggeration erased subtlety. The goal was not beauty. It was recognition. Procedures multiplied. Cheeks, jawline, nose, facial contouring. Money dissolved into the image, well over $100,000 shaping a face designed to dominate attention. Each intervention removed another trace of the man who existed before, replacing it with something louder, sharper, harder to ignore. The mirror stopped reflecting a self and started confirming a concept. Online reactions fed the process. Shock, fascination, discomfort, applause. All of it counted. Indifference was the only failure. Jordan James Park did not seek approval. He sought permanence through excess. And somewhere between imitation and performance, his identity remains suspended, not resolved, not explained, waiting for the witness to decide what remains when the image speaks louder than the person behind it. Valeria Lukyanova did not present herself as a creation of surgery, but as a phenomenon. Labeled the human Barbie, her appearance appeared engineered beyond biology, yet she consistently denied extensive plastic intervention, insisting discipline, makeup, and spirituality were responsible. This was not about looking better, not about resembling something a little. It was about embodying an idea that refused to be questioned. Her body became a controlled display, waist impossibly narrow, face frozen in doll-like symmetry, movements precise and deliberate. The image felt sealed, protected from time, hunger, and contradiction. Whether surgery was involved mattered less than the effect. Repetition made the illusion solid. Valeria spoke of higher consciousness, of leaving the physical behind. Food became optional. Sleep became ritual. The body functioned as a vessel, not a home, a mannequin animated by belief. Public fascination grew alongside doubt. Experts analyzed photographs. Critics argued measurements. Fans defended devotion. The debate itself became fuel, keeping the image alive regardless of truth. What remained constant was distance. Valeria stood apart, less person than projection, less flesh than symbol. The human Barbie no longer needed confirmation to exist. Her story offers no revelation. It hovers between denial and display, between self-creation and erasure, leaving the viewer unsure whether the illusion protected her or quietly consumed her from within. No conclusions arrive, only questions that linger long after the image fades away. Penny Brown's transformation did not begin with insecurity. It began with fascination. Her idol was not a woman who aged or carried consequence, but a drawing. Jessica Rabbit existed without organs, without pain, without limits, and that impossibility became the standard Penny chose to follow. From the beginning, she understood the terms. This was not about looking better, not about improving herself, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming an image never meant to survive inside a human body. Her body changed purpose. It stopped being personal and became a project, measured in procedures and progress. Breast augmentations came first, not to create balance but to exaggerate. Each surgery pushed her further from anatomy and closer to distortion, where realism no longer mattered. The waist became the real test. Corsets tightened for nearly 23 hours a day, turning time into pressure and discipline into routine. Weeks folded into months until more than 40 centimeters disappeared. What remained was not a natural shape, but a silhouette that looked illustrated rather than lived in. The corset stopped being clothing. It became structure, a frame, a prison disguised as elegance. Online, the image performed. Applause arrived instantly. Photographs hid discomfort and rewarded illusion. Jessica Rabbit never breathes. Penny Brown does. Her story remains unresolved, suspended between admiration and silence. Hang Mioku did not begin with obsession. She began with hope. In South Korea, where beauty often feels like obligation, surgery promised correction, acceptance, relief. At first, procedures were approved. Doctors adjusted, refined, reshaped. Each result offered brief satisfaction before dissolving into dissatisfaction. This was not about looking better, not about confidence, not about resembling something a little. It was about becoming acceptable in a system that never stops measuring. Eventually, surgeons refused. They saw risk, instability, escalation. Hang heard rejection. The doors closed, but the desire did not. Without permission, she continued alone. Oils replaced implants. Cooking oil, industrial substances, injected directly into her face, chasing volume where doctors would no longer go. The body became a desperate experiment, unmonitored, irreversible. Skin stretched, hardened, collapsed. The face lost expression and gained weight, swelling into something unrecognizable. Public attention followed, not as admiration, but as shock. Hang became an image passed around as warning, stripped of context, reduced to consequence. Few asked what pressure preceded the damage. Hang Mioku survived, but survival carried shape. Her face no longer reflected intention, only outcome. Surgery promised transformation. It delivered confinement. Her story does not end with a lesson. It lingers as evidence of what happens when desire outlives permission and the body is left to absorb the cost. The silence around her story remains heavy, unresolved, and deeply uncomfortable to witness today. These stories do not end with answers. They end with bodies changed, identities blurred, and questions left behind. Some found attention. Some found meaning. Some found nothing at all. What remains is the space between who they were and what they tried to become. If this journey made you uncomfortable, it was meant to. Leave a comment with the story that stayed with you the longest. And if you want to explore where obsession crosses the line, subscribe and continue watching.